website. So, get a chance to read through the front page.
Yep.
I've also updated funders, but that was only an hour or so ago. So, what do you reckon?
That is more like what I think we should be presenting.
Yeah, the your idea about weaving in just a few concepts together actually really works. I think. I think it's.
I think it makes everything easy for us.
Yeah.
Because it's a much more compact message.
Yeah, understandable. How's the wordage?
It's good. There's once where packets gets replaced with packages.
Oh.
Yeah, it kind of slipped.
Oh, yeah, good spot. Yeah. Okay.
No, look, everything else that I want to correct is very minor in comparison.
Brilliant. That's a good place to be. I'm just taking notes.
Like, I imagine that these little paragraphs and taglines and things, they come from a stack that I presume, have that, we can work on them over time and reprioritize as things change and as we learn more.
Yeah.
But the structure is good. And I think that the theme of packetizing and the theme of only talking about buyers attributing their payments out to the other members, we can describe a closed system, and there's very few surprises for people that buy into a closed system. It's hard to overhype it or imagine it's something it isn't. It's like we've only ever talked about this simple system.
Yeah. The one thing that struck me is writing these down. I'm making claims that we don't actually have yet, but can hand crank, as it were. So I don't know if we.
That's fine. I mean.
Yeah, because it's like you can do that, and Gcash allows, etc. It's like it will.
Yeah, that's fine. Like we'll have. There's no point writing disclaimers in there when we're very close to having the software working. Anyway, it's sort of like this is. Yeah, we'll have all those things soon enough. They're not really big claims. You're just claiming that some software can do something that's really not even that hard.
Yeah. It's and also we can hand crank everything we're saying here. The software, it just makes it actual practical as opposed to large.
So the only real points I wanted to bring up were sort of general points.
Mm-hmm.
Like that open collaboration. I think we should not say collaboration. We should be talking about incentives. So on the front page we've got direct connection. Open collaboration, I think, should really be open incentive. It's more about people already have ways to collaborate openly. They don't have ways to share incentives openly. Right? Like, if I look to the marketplace right now and I'm like, I want to set up a platform where I can open the incentives that I have with everyone who contributes fairly, and I don't want a bunch of overhead, where do I go?
Open incentives. So those two words don't usually go together. So
I know. Why not, Maxwell?
Well, the because buying open incentives. Are you saying that everyone? Are we talking about transparent incentives, which is not what this paragraph's for? This paragraph's for anyone can turn up. It's
In the
not about
paragraph 4,
incentives.
anyone can turn up and receive the promised reward. That's an open incentive. It's not discriminated, closed, diluted, anything. It's a direct connection to the buyer's purchase, and it's open to whoever contributes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that open incentive causes you an affront. It is not a common phrase. Why not?
Let me think about this one. Open incentive. So incentives. You can know exactly why someone's doing something, which is an open incentive, or it's a transparent incentive. There's aligned incentives. An open incentive. There's a bit of a dissonance there. Open is available to all. Incentives is why you're doing this. They seem to be two different concepts. See what I'm saying? It's
Look, all I'm getting at is that collaboration. That's not what we're about. We're about incentives.
Yeah,
we're about greedy people serving themselves and altruistic people serving themselves,
right,
and all getting along because the incentives are what everyone came for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is a marketplace. Collaboration is.
You don't turn up to a marketplace to collaborate. You turn up for the incentives that it presents you.
Why does that sound dissonant to me?
Because no one says that. I think why is because incentives are selfish and open is unselfish, and to try and put those two things together, they typically don't fit. But this is what we bring. I mean, I'll say it again. If I want to offer an incentive to anyone who fulfills my job permissionlessly, where do I go on the internet right now?
Right. So let's unpack this. So collaboration, I agree. You can collaborate, around a campfire. It's just it's not marketplace. The marketplace is the thing that drives the improvement. Open is the ability to just turn up without asking anyone.
The permissionless nature of it.
Right. So collaboration, I agree, is the wrong word. Open is the right word, which is synonymous with permissionless. I think open's a better one. Open incentive.
I think, honestly, I thought about it for a couple of days and I re-listened to a previous call.
Yeah.
And I believe stronger now than then that our unique offering is the direct connection of the buyer's payment to the funders and the builders who made the thing that the buyer bought.
Right.
And opening that incentive up. And I took those two panels as being number one. You're talking about our primary function is that direct connection. And number two, our secondary function is the openness of that incentive that we directly connected.
Yes.
Those are two separate concepts, but I think together they are who we are.
Yes.
And if our machine did nothing but those two, I'd call it a win.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah. Because what we're trying to do is move towards a more perfect or least fucked up marketplace.
Well, I think we're trying to move towards a system that has less attenuation between the buyers of things and the builders and the creators of things.
Yes.
I think we can sum up the whole industrial problem that we have with knowledge work and innovation and the pace of innovation as attenuation of that connection. I think all the things that we have talked about for years now come down to that degradation of signal.
I agree, but we're talking about direct connection, which I'm well bought into. Having listened to it again, as you have, and thinking about it, that direct connection is a bit like cogwheels. Yeah, if you get the cogwheels actually meshing with very little loss, you get power distribution in exactly the way it is intended. If your gears are grinding, in this analogy, or
freely in the air,
exactly, or just spinning, without even touching, then you're not going to get anywhere. So that direct connection is really powerful. The thing is on the open innovation. I quite like it because it is dissonant. You immediately go, "What the fuck is open innovation?" If I was to think about that without bringing anything else, open innovation is anyone can innovate. Oh, sorry, open incentive. Sorry, anyone can bring their own incentives, which is
anyone can receive that incentive, is what we're saying.
That sounds like a whole bunch of incentives that aren't necessarily pointing in the same direction. Right. How about?
Are you saying then that you would like a closed incentive system?
No,
because if you reject open incentives, then what is it you want?
No, it would no, quite the opposite. I think both of them are important concepts, but the dissonance I'm feeling is they're not necessarily related. And I'll challenge it. Maybe they are. You've thought about this. So open is everyone can turn up. Doesn't matter. Incentive is basically the kind of Adam Smith rational agent. Do what is best for you, and the marketplace will provide for everyone because of that direct connection. So the open and incentive don't necessarily, in my head right now, link together. I'm really curious because you sound quite certain about that. I just don't get it. Not yet.
Okay, well, let's come at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
The fact that we made the direct connection is the primary efficiency for any innovation project.
Yep.
In order to have an efficient market, which is different to a direct and efficient connection between the buyer and the doer, in order to have that connection be opened up in a marketplace, you need to allow the buyer's incentive to be made permissionless, so that there's no arbitrary gates or hoops that you have to jump around in order to vie for that, to receive that incentive to complete the buyer's request. You got to make it that pool of people. It's got to be everyone. Like, that's the best pool to get a good price and to get the best result, the best quality.
Yeah. So we're talking about a marketplace. I don't know how much time we've got to spend on this one particular thing. If there's many other things to go through, so I don't want to hammer down on it.
I got about an hour 20.
All right. Okay. Cool. So incentives are in a marketplace. You need in perfect marketplace. You need full transparency. You need the ability to maneuver, as in do the work, and you need frictionless or costless interactions. That's the kind of definition of a free market, an ideal free market, which is never done. The incentives are all internal. If I had, rather than you said closed incentives, if I had private incentives, I could have completely private incentives for using this, and it would still work. My incentives could be anything I want. My incentive could be,
No one cares about your incentives. They care about what's being offered to the builders. What is being offered between the buyers and the doers and the funders. That's the incentives that we care about. You're going to have your own incentives. We don't care about those. We don't even model them. We only model the incentive of the buyer's money in exchange for the doers and the funders' outputs, packets,
right,
software.
Right. Which is the interaction of the market. But those are just incentives. That's just there's no open part. The open doesn't add anything to this incentives. It's like
Yeah, it does, because it says that anybody can be one of those members. But you're not really talking about that. Without explicitly saying it.
Right.
You don't have your team picked for you when you go out into this system. You don't have a small group of staff who are the only ones that are receptive to your requests because they're the only ones that can receive your incentive.
Right. Well, you're effectively incentivizing, or the entire market is incentivizing a bunch of free agents.
Yeah.
So it's that openness is. I don't know why I'm struggling with this. We can move on if you want.
I think a fair market. I think a fair market is an open market.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think you can have a fair market if it's closed, right? And when people talk about free trade agreements as if someone made that name up as a joke, but the freedom of the trade or the openness of the market is really what they're trying to create there.
Yes.
There's no tariffs. There's no taxes. There's no contraband.
Yeah, there's two things though there. For an efficient market, if you're in those terms, you're talking about transparent incentives. So your incentives are obvious to everyone else, and there's zero barriers, so everyone can join in. And what you can do, if you've got transparent incentives, you can point to a guy and saying, I don't like you because actually you're doing this for reasons I don't think are in my best interest, and so I'm not going to do business with you. Or this guy, his incentives are the same as mine, so I'm going to work with you. And the zero barriers thing is hugely important, which is the open part of it. Is everyone just come in, do it, and trade on your own reputation. So
not even that. Like I disagree that it's reputation that matters. It's quality. Third party appraised quality is the only thing that matters.
Yes, but that's the other side of the same coin. So it's perfect information inside of a market. So perfect information includes actually what someone else will pay for the thing you're producing, the guy producing it, exactly whether they're going to do it, whether they've done it before, and so on. It's
under that open collaboration heading, you're talking about only talent and reputation matter, and I don't think that's the case. It's really only quality. If you say that talent and reputation matter, it can be a bit of a turn-off to newcomers because they're like, I have no reputation. Is it? Can I do any?
That is an interesting point. Okay. Yes.
And again, with the openness, right? Like you're not blocking someone unless they've got 5 stars of reputation. You're simply saying that I may not, I will not. escrow my funds for your specific effort, but if I've escrowed my funds for the solution to be provided, I don't care about your reputation. I care if QA passed your result. That's all.
That's an interesting point. Reputation does matter for QA, but actually matters less for doers and funders.
The builders, the builders and the doers and the buyers, the reputation is useful. It's not required.
Yeah, because if you go on the pure version, if everything's escrowed and the trigger point, the state change is on QA, really all you're interested in personally, because you know your own reputation, is the reputation of the QA, because you've handed over your judgment to this third party. That's where reputation really comes in.
Yeah. And it's a funny thing, this QA concept. It's a beautiful thing because it endows someone with no reputation with the reputation of QA. Like if QA passes it, they're like, you're basically saying QA
you're anointed.
would have done this work.
Yeah. It's it's much like a coronation. It's like you're the king because QA, being God, has passed you and anointed you. And then you have that aura around you. If you have a piece of work that's, I don't know, you do a bit of, physics that someone in CERN with a huge backing behind them and citations says, yes, this is a good piece of work. Suddenly you have that. And you could have just done that up and done that on day one. But
and then there's an even bigger win for you is when the buyers actually start paying you for your packet contributions.
Right.
But anyway, my point simply is that I don't think you should be saying that talent and reputation matter because they don't at first.
They don't at the point where the cogs meet, but where talent does matter is in the size of the pool that you're drawing from, which is a second tier argument. So it's like,
if it's a second tier, should it be on the front page?
It may well need to be. I don't know, check where I've mentioned it. So what you're saying, you're right. Actually, you've got a machine here. So I've talked about a talent pool, and in the open collaboration, only talent and reputation matter, which is we just talked about, not correct. It's that second mention of talent. So it's the size of the talent pool that you really want. So if you get a larger number of more specialists, that's great. You're not talking about any one specialist. It could be, it could be a mundane task. It could be a incredibly difficult task. That's not the problem. It's like, do you have access to anyone? Okay.
I like how packetization was introduced as basically point number 3. Like point number 3 is points the direct connection and the openness of the incentive. I'll let you wrestle with what word you want to use there, but I tell you, it's not collaboration.
Yeah, I agree.
The direct connection and the openness of the marketplace are properties that we need. They are not properties that we bring. They are almost like forces of nature that we've decided to hone in on and try to capture.
Mm-hmm.
Packetization is the first major concept of ours that you managed to get it in there as like point number 3.
I'm well happy
that is
with
the first thing to be made.
I'm well happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah,
But do you agree with the order? Because I've tried to build up to packetization. Because
absolutely.
if you start with
No,
packetization, it's a bit
I
weird.
think that's a brilliant, smooth order.
Yeah, cool.
Um,
And these,
it's a really smooth order. Yeah,
yeah, and I think almost every point, or near every point, packets come up. It's
because NFTs would used to come up.
yeah, yeah. But this idea, because packets roll up everything into a neat packet, because it's you've got, you're okay. I need this chunk, this packet. It's QA'd, escrowed, turn up. I've got an idea. Packets are really the center of it. So remember last call I was saying it was actually attribution was the center of the four arrows that we used to talk about. Actually, now I'm thinking packets are really the fundamental thing, because a packet is your statement of stuff that has a need, as a potential buyer. When it's done, it's QA'd. If you're doing it, it's escrowed and you get paid. If you're funding it, you're getting a thing. You're not getting just, effort. So that packets concept is fundamental to everything else that goes down this page. It comes up,
I think
time
it's
and
so
time again.
fundamental that it should take out the new framework for taking innovations to market, and it should have something about packetization there, like packetized
So
innovation or something.
where are you referring to? Sorry.
The tagline above those six
A new framework
panels
for taking innovations to market. Yeah.
should be something about it being packetized innovation.
Yeah.
Somehow.
I agree. I don't know how.
Because it's that fundamental a thing, and the more I think about it, it sort of starts to look like TCP packets, where TCP packets have a checksum, and that checksum is the QA thing, and you can try to make a packet, but until the checksum is acceptable, it's not a real packet, and no one talks about it, pays for it, routes it, stores it, passes it on, all advertises it, all those things. So they're very similar in that sense, that QA is such a critical component of the system. It'd be like trying to make the internet with checksum.
Nope. I've just lost your audio. Where have you gone?
What? I wasn't talking.
Oh.
I don't know, that's surprising, but no, that was me.
No, I agree, and it reflects a lot of where things have gone naturally through APIs and service-oriented architecture and so on. But now we're adding this into innovation, in that you can packetize a thing, advertise, what services that packet, have it QA'd in detail, and then people can rely on that, and then make money from it. And it's an asset. That's the thing. It's an asset.
What if, instead of saying it's a framework, what if we did something super cheesy and said that it is a packet-based protocol for an innovations market?
That is super non-cheesy, because I don't think I've ever heard anything like that. Packet-based network for the innovation market. Now, okay, so we're gonna
packet-based protocol for an innovations network marketplace.
For innovation. Okay, so we have to think about the three different markets here. The doers will get that, or most of the doers will get that. It's like, okay, that sounds really cool. As a funder, packet-based protocol, I'm not sure rings bells. I think we need. We need something more fundamental. So it's not a framework. You're right.
It's got to have the word packet in it,
Yeah.
and it's got to talk about innovation. It's got to talk about market.
Well, how about packetized innovation?
Packetized innovation. Protocol for packetized innovation. Okay, how do you get network in there?
Why do you want to get network in there?
Because that's another thing.
No. Well, last
It's
time,
network-based innovation.
last call, we were talking about network feeling like it had boundaries, and open was a better word. So on a network,
We didn't say that in our last call. I listened to it not more than an hour ago.
it might be in the previous call, but there's I've gone through and removed the word network. I don't know if you know, gone through removing the word network from a previous call. Pretty sure it was the last call. I'm gonna call you out on that
Are
one.
you
I'm
telling
pretty
me
sure it
that I
was the
said
last
to
call.
you that I didn't like the word network?
The discussion was because on the previous version I was talking about being part of a network, and the discussion was quite brief. Saying,
Well, I was talking. You mean when we're talking about members versus?
yes, and the way network is, it sounds closed, which it does. I
I
swear.
think we might have had different conversations then.
I swear.
But
Well, anyway, that was it doesn't matter. But packetized innovation. Packetized innovation.
I admit there's too many words in there. If I want to have market, innovation, packet, network, and protocol, it may not be able to make us out of all those things.
Well, I love a perpetual invention machine, which is what we got at the top. But that doesn't actually. That's not very helpful. That's
It honestly
teaser. It's a
doesn't
teaser.
say shit. It
Yeah.
just sounds cool.
It's a teaser. And then, so if you think about this as a cascade, so we go, okay, well, what's perpetual about an invention machine? Okay, so the next thing needs to lead on from that one. So packetized innovation. In an open network, open packetized innovation.
Hey, I think I got it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
How about this? A packetized protocol for an open innovation marketplace.
That's a lot of words. Okay, I'll get that down.
It's a lot of words, right? But it's a sentence.
Packetized. Say that again. Sorry, I'll write it down.
Packetized protocol for open innovation marketplaces.
No. The only problem is I have no better idea.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking.
that's cool. Anyway, I just think that a new framework for the market, that tagline needs to have packet in there somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to do that.
I
gave you so much chest.
I'll think about it. I just ran that through our joint mentor, my inner mentor that we've both experienced. I can just imagine what he said about that. You guys, you young guys, packetized protocol. I don't even know what it is. Yeah.
Packetized innovation, something like that. That's what it needs to be talking about. This packetizing thing is the core fucking concept. It's the heart and soul of the whole damn thing. Those first two things, direct connection and open incentive, open availability of incentive.
Yeah.
Those are not our things. Those are things that we're saying you need to have.
Give me a second. You just said something. Open availability of incentive.
Yeah.
That's where our non-lock previously was. Right. Okay. Yeah. leave it with me. That makes more sense. Saying open availability of incentive. So
Yeah, fine.
yeah. Sorry, go on. Sorry to interrupt.
And I mean, the packetizing nature is sort of taking the essence of what TCP did for networking by allowing it to find multiple paths in the event of a catastrophe. Let's say that in innovation space, a catastrophe is a failed project, a dead-end idea, a lack of funding. And by packetizing it, we allow innovators to route around the problem, to connect the buyers with the builders and the funders by many paths, multiple paths, a graph or a network that's resilient and reliable, and it keeps trying when a packet fails to meet QA, to be transmitted, to be received cleanly. It's a lot of that type of stuff that this packetization opens up. It's so much more than just NFTs. Like packets like TCP is basically innovation control packets.
Yeah, right. And to take that analogy on, which I think is a good one, putting up a request without any escrow behind it is like UDP, just like throw it out there. It'd be good if it arrived, but it's not critical. Putting escrow out, it's like, no, we need this to arrive, and so we're going to incentivize. Yeah. When it arrives, you don't know how long it's going to take to get there, but when it gets there, it's going to be the same as transmitted. So you don't know how long it's going to take to be built, but when it's built, it's going to be what was meant to be built. That's a really good analogy, actually. Yeah, and that robustness. It's interesting. The granularity of packetization is quite important, because the bigger the thing that you're funding, the bigger the thing that you're buying, the more risk it is, and therefore the more overhead, the pointless overhead.
The same applies with TCP packets.
Yeah.
If you want to send one big packet, probably going to fail.
Yeah.
But when you take a big file and you break it up into many things and you send it, particularly if you send a path, you have a much higher chance of it arriving successfully, and also it'll actually travel faster if you multipath multiple packets at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And
and we can do all kinds of fancy analysis on like error rates and error correction rates and how much got bounced off of QA and how much didn't, right? Like all those kinds of network analyses and metaphors and mathematics apply to packet-based innovation networks.
Yeah. Yes.
Packet-based innovation networks are the fucking shit, man.
I quite like that, packetized innovation network. Yeah. Sorry, I was just writing that down.
No, but that's the thing.
It's really
that's
powerful. It's really powerful.
That's the fucking. That's the money. That's the money.
And just as with back with ARPANET, it's like, so long as you agree to the API, and the API is our QA on pools for interconnection of networks. Then you can connect as many as want to turn up.
Right. This is basically what we did with R10 and I11 is like the specification of a TCP packet format.
Yeah.
And how to route it and reroute it and all that. And now, we're able to build these other toppers, I'm sure. But that's the fucking essence of the Innovators Network.
Yeah.
Is this packet protocol to go from analog transmissions, continuous transmissions, to digital, packetized, switchable, checksum verified, reliably delivered innovation packets.
Yeah. Which, interestingly enough,
beautiful.
Dreamcatcher now mirrors Interblock.
That's what we wanted.
Yeah. Even though they're doing different jobs, actually mirrors it.
But that's the thing, though. Are they? Are they really doing different jobs? Is the internet doing a different job to Interblock, a different job to Dreamcatcher? Or are they all really still tapping into the same natural thing, which is this communication thing?
Communication thing. I was thinking about. Sorry, I was laughing at that because as soon as you said "thing," I was expecting something really profound and thing.
Well, I know, but there isn't something because it's not clearly captured. But they don't all look the same by accident, and they don't all look the same because we wanted them to. It's true that we wanted them to, but my point is they look the same because they are the same on some level.
I think you.
Because
I think you're right. Sorry, go on.
we didn't have the freedom to just design the Dreamcatcher any way we. Just like the internet, you didn't get to just sit down with a whiteboard. You had to sort of discover it, as opposed to just make it up. Like it was a potential that was there, and it was always going to be one way or a particular kind of way, always. And
Yeah.
the way we ended up with, it's close enough,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's the same with Interblock. It's the same with the Dreamcatcher, right? You don't get a lot of freedom on how to move if you're chasing, the goals that we set about to try and capture.
I think you're right. I think there
things
is
are the same.
there is something. There's kind of an evolutionary force pushing all these things into the same direction. And so if now was it R15 the T83 request that I did. Everything in that T83 request, it was like, I recognize all this. I wrote it in just basically one sitting because it was so reminiscent of the Dreamcatcher. In terms of noisy environments, you can't rely on any one person turning up or any chunk turning up. It's still got to operate. What you want is, certainty of, the QA of the data passing.
Yep.
So that kind of state change, you want it to fail or not fail, and nothing in between. You don't want partial fails.
That's right. Yeah.
And exactly the same thing here. What you want is when you put up an idea to be packetized, you want it to fail or not fail. You don't want grey areas going, should I pay for that? Okay, I don't know really.
Another type of irritant that you didn't really write about was the fuzziness, or the putting your money in and getting like this uncertainly long thing, or this like slippery sort of airy fairy thing. Like, what did I buy? What am I paying these guys for? That fuzziness is just gone when you got packets.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And that fuzziness is incredibly expensive because it leads to an open, space for people to reinvent as they go along. And we've been, you and I have been gateway about this, and been picked up on it again by our mentor. Where we just kind of reinvent things because we're thinking about the reason we were reinventing it was if we were to have a packetized version of what we were doing previously, it'd be like, okay, that is fixed. That's a Lego brick. You might not want to use that Lego brick. Might not be useful anywhere, but it's still there, and it is what it is. What you can't do is reinvent it. You can't call it something else. You can't do anything else with it. You can build on it, but that's another Lego brick. So that kind of quantum nature removes the space for it's not even dishonest dealing. It's as you say, it's noise. It's people stepping into the area or thinking, actually, I should have thought about that harder to start with, and now I'm thinking differently, and I'm just gonna keep on going round and round and round. I'm a huge fan of the idea of the packets. I think it feels like it should make life. It's not even more predictable. What is it? It's similar to, right. I mean, you're in New Zealand, right? I'm in Scotland, and we're having a conversation through packetized chunks of information that we're sending backwards and forwards. Because, well, we could trace all the routes, the many routes it's going through. If you get bigger network, then the network is fast enough